All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Good
Morning.
morning, everyone. Okay. Quite a few calendars to go through this morning, so let's begin. Good morning. As I said, my name is Judge Law, and this is going to be the Fulton County State All-Purpose Calendar. This is a list of misdemeanor cases in which individuals have been charged and accused with certain misdemeanor offenses. Most of them have had an initial appearance and bonds have been set in their cases. With regards to anyone who's appearing before the court who's charged with a misdemeanor case, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say about the underlying facts or circumstances of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one of our attorneys from the Public Defender's Office or our conflict defense list will be representing you. For today, what we're doing is getting a status of the cases. Most of the individual defendants have had an opportunity to speak to their attorney and to discuss how they would like to move forward. So today we would possibly handle plea hearings in which the defendants will be entering a plea of guilty or no contest in exchange for the recommended sentence offered by the prosecutor. Otherwise, the defendant also has the right to plead not guilty, and the case would be arraigned and further notice for trial. Other matters I may possibly address are bond modifications. So let's begin with courtroom 2. Who do we have, please?
Good morning, Judge Law. This is going to be position 11, Mr. Herbert.
All right. And Mr. McLean, who is your assistant today? I mean, not assistant, who is your co-chair?
That would be me, Your Honor.
Oh, Mr. Darrell Coleman. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Coleman, I didn't mean to refer to you as the assistant.
It's fine. Always nice to see you.
No, I'm just for him, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, position 11. This is Michael Herbert, case number 23 CR 3527C. Mr. Herbert was accused of battery against a female who is pregnant and battery from a June 1st, 2023 incident. Mr. Herbert, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney at the present time is Mr. Darrell Coleman. What are we doing, Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, this is going to be a negotiated plea.
All right.
Your Honor, the negotiation, are you ready for me?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Pierce Thomas. You may proceed.
Good morning, Your Honor. The negotiation from the state is, it appears that it is 12 months to serve 250 days, credit for the 157 days that he served with the balance probated. This is on count one anger management course, 40 hours of community service, no further contact with victim Brianna Botsford, Botsford, a stay away from 10 Park Plaza, Alpharetta, that is the Fulton County Library. As it relates to count 2, that is going to be 12 months probation concurrent with count 1, no further contact with Rishi, R-I-S-H-I, Jalil, let me say, J-A-I-L-A-L-L. That's going to be a total for the court certification. That's going to be a total of 24 months to serve 250 days, credit for the 127 days, balance probated, 1 anger management course, 40 hours of community service, no further contact with the 2 listed victims, and a stay away from that Fulton County Library in Alpharetta.
Just to clarify, since the total is 24 months to serve, I think I heard you say on count 2 concurrent, so actually be consecutive then.
Sorry, consecutive, yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Coleman, are those the terms to which your client has agreed, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
It is, Your Honor. We would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We will request that the probation would terminate once he's completed the anger management course, that probation fees be waived for a period of time. We will stipulate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID.
Mr. Pierre Thomas, Any objection to non-reporting once he's done the conditions for count one?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Herbert, have you consumed any excuse me, Mr. Herbert, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
I beg your pardon?
I do.
Thank you. All right, you'll need to come a little closer to the microphone on the laptop and you need to speak up, okay? Have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
Have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yeah.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yeah.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take the plea today?
No, ma'am.
And has it been explained to you that if you plead guilty to these charges, that you would be on probation for 24 months, that you less the time that you've already served in the jail, that you would have to waive your right to a trial, to go back before a judge or a jury, to be able to confront your accuser, examine and challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, to be able to present any defenses if you choose to do so, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of battery against a female who is pregnant and a separate count of battery against Rishi Jalal?
Guilty.
Your sentence for the battery against a female's pregnant is 12 months to serve 250 days, credit for time served. I heard 157 days. Would that be correct?
Yes.
127.
Well, in either event, your jail time for this charge would be completed. The remainder of the time you'll be on probation. You need to complete an anger management course, one anger management class, and that class must begin within 60 days of being released from jail. You're to do 40 hours of community service. You're to stay away and have no contact with Brianna Botsford, and do not return to the Fulton County Library at 10 Park Plaza in Alpharetta. On count two, it will be a consecutive sentence, which means that it will start as soon as the first 12 months on count one are completed. And that's going to be an additional 12 months of probation, and you are to have no contact with Rishi Jalal. No contact means staying 200 yards away and not communicating with this person in any way, form, or manner. I will waive your probation fees for the first 6 months, but after that, you would need to report to probation and continue to pay probation fees as long as your 40 hours community service and your anger management program is still yet to be done. At all times while you are on active or non-reporting probation, you will maintain the no contact with Ms. Botsford and Mr. Jalal. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't know.
5 North, who do we have? 5 North.
27, 28, Mr. Thomas.
This is going to Mr. McLean. What are you going, have you had a chance to speak to your client's position 27 and 28? And that would be Mr. Thomas.
Last night he was, that's Xavier Thomas. He was located from 2 South. We were not able to interview him at the time. So
All
I
right.
had a chance to do that today. Thank you.
You can, best would be to get on a separate Zoom link. If you have a laptop you could use, and we can put you in a breakout with 5 North.
Well, with an extra few minutes, Your Honor, I can zoom on from my phone in the parking lot.
Okay, all right. Mr. Jordan, if you're hosting, please keep a lookout for Mr. McLean's Zoom panel. Okay, quorum 2, can we have another defendant represented by Mr. Coleman?
I'm sorry, repeat that again, Judge?
Any one of Mr. Coleman's clients, we can take that up in courtroom 2. 5 North, we're going to put you in a
Where's Mr. Banks? Come on, Mr. Banks, have a seat right here.
5 North, we're going to put you in a breakout with Attorney McLean so Mr. Thomas can speak to him. Frank Banks is position 2, accused of loitering or prowling, case number 18 CR 10455G from November 23rd, 2018. Mr. Banks, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman. Mr. Coleman, how far out would you like the case reset?
If we could try for another week, I know that the social worker was here last week. I think she briefly spoke to Mr. Banks. I believe that she stated that he has a head injury, so she needs to do, further consulting with him as well as with his family.
All right, so let's go ahead and reset him to October 12th SAP calendar. And if y'all are requesting an evaluation, you might want that case reset to a separate 11 a.m. calendar.
Yeah, but we don't know at this point if the evaluation.
Understood.
We don't know if it's mental or if it's actually physical because of the head injury.
Okay. All right, Mr. Banks, per your attorney request, we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you. Next case with Mr. Coleman's clients.
Position 10, Mr. Harris. It's gonna be Edwin Harris.
He's not in 10.
9 and 10.
Yeah.
He's 9 and 10, Judge. Thank
10
you.
is a,
All right, Mr. Coleman, will you file a waiver of arraignment and we'll further notice the case for bail jury?
actually, very briefly, Your Honor, Mr. Harris appeared in court this morning. He's now changed his mind. He does want to go forward with a plea.
Okay, this is position 9 and 10, Edwin Lee Harris. Mr. Harris was accused of theft by shoplifting. His subsequent charge is for a bench warrant. The original case number is 22 CR 5726J. The bench warrant is 23861. The incident date was August 11, 2022. Mr. Harris, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Coleman. May I place you under oath for purposes of the plea?
Okay.
Do you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Repeat.
I do.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Pierre Thomas, this is position 9 and 10. I assume we're going to null cross position 10 if the plea goes forward.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. So what's the offer on the shoplifting charge?
Your Honor, the offer from the state on that case is 12 months to serve 45 days in custody, credit for the 24 days that he's already served in custody with the balance probated, a stay away from all Walmarts in Fulton County, 60 hours of community service, and the completion of an anti-theft course.
All right. Do you have a number of shoplifting convictions he has on his record?
I don't believe that I saw an underlying one in my research, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have a Miss Alice? I don't know if I have a pretrial officer.
You do, Your Honor. I'm here.
Ms. Tyson, yes, this is
Yes.
position 9. It's just by the nature of the sentence. I was curious to know how many.
If he has any shoplifting,
Yes.
he has a theft by shoplifting. Let's see. Looks like he took a first offender in 2000 and it was sealed. Let's see, there's another one. Not seeing any shopliftings. I'm seeing some other thefts, but not shoplifting.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, no other shopliftings.
All right. Mr. Coleman, does your client accept these terms and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, we ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We will request that the probation will terminate once he's completed the anti-theft course and the community service. And probation fees be waived for a period of time. We will stipulate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID.
All right. Let me see. Mr. Harris, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea offer today?
No.
Are you doing so willingly, voluntarily, and knowingly?
Yes.
And you understand that you would have to waive your right to a trial to be able to go, you wouldn't be able to go back to court, confront your accuser, challenge the evidence and witnesses brought against you, present any defenses if you choose to do so, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of theft by shoplifting?
Yes,
Could you repeat?
guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 45 days, credit for time served 24 days. That will complete your jail time. You'll be released and placed on probation. While on probation, you will need to complete 60 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency, as well as complete an anti-theft class. The anti-theft class must be completed within the first 6 months of your probation. You will report to probation every month, and I will waive your probation fees for the first 4 months, after which you will need to continue reporting to probation. With regards to the bench warrant matter, your bench warrant is, or the failure to appear is null pros. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is gonna be on the probation calendar, position 6, Mr. Franco Harris.
Okay. Officer Allison, is that my probationer? Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Officer Allison, if I may place you under oath, please, for all our probation and add-on cases.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. This was position 6, I believe.
Mr. Harris?
All right. I have 2 cases for Mr. Harris. Is that correct, Officer Allison?
His initial case that he was post on probation, and then the probation violation.
Okay, so position 6 and 7, 19 CR 45708, in which he was convicted of theft by shoplifting. And then the second case is 23 PV 1255, and that is the probation violation case. And Officer Allison, what are we doing with his case today?
He failed to pay probation fees in total of $160, victim crime funds in a total of $36, failed to report on December 15th, 2022, January 17th of 2023. He did not appear for a revocational hearing on February 16th, 2023, and he failed to complete a shoplifting course. Probation is recommended for time served, case closed. He has 2 months and 22 days left.
Mr. Coleman, is that your client?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. No
Right.
objection.
All right. Mr. Harris, your probation case will be marked as a probation violation. And your sentence is the time served. The remaining time will be commuted, and that will complete your obligations for both these cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is also on the probation calendar, position 1, Mr. Beard.
This is State versus Ricky Beard, 17 CR 6016E. Mr. Beard was convicted of DUI and driving while license suspended revoked. He's been advised of his right to remain silent, and his attorney is Mr. Coleman. Mr. Allison, Officer Allison, what are the probation violation matter in this case?
He failed to pay court fines and surcharges in total $1,971, failed to report as directed, failed to complete a drug and alcohol evaluation, failed to complete 240 hours community service, failed to complete risk reduction course, and he did not appear for a revocational hearing on May 14th, 2018. He has 1 month and 23 days left on probation. Probation is recommended for time served, case closed.
Mr. Coleman, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Beard, this case is going to be marked as a probation violation on your record, and the sentence is going to be to commute the remaining time and close the case. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is on the regular calendar, positions 15 and 16, Mr. Hood.
Is, okay, good. Do we have a private counsel for Mr. Hood?
No, not your case, no. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't hear you.
Is there, is Mr. Hood represented by private counsel? I've just got those on my notes.
No, Your Honor, when I went to see Mr. Hood yesterday, I was informed by the sheriff that he told the sheriff that he had a private attorney. I think he does on his felony matters, but not on the misdemeanors.
Okay,
After speaking to Mr. Hood this morning, this is just gonna be reset to jail jury.
all right. And will you be filing a waiver of arraignment?
I will.
All right. So, Mr. Hood, your attorney is going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. Your case is going to be further notice for a jury trial. Thank you.
Judge, the next case is actually a private attorney, Mr. Hopkins. I was told that he was an add-on.
Judge, I'm his counsel. I'm not a private attorney. I'm from the Conflict Public Defender's Office in Atlanta. I'm handling his other cases, and I'm going to handle this probation violation for him.
Right. Let me go ahead, add on probation, add on. And what's your client's name?
Dante Hopkins on the add-on calendar.
I've got a couple of add-on calendars, so. Oh, probation, state all purpose. Oh, Mr. Jordan sent it to me, but I don't think I printed that one out. So can I have your client's case number, please?
Yes, the probation violation case number is 23.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. This is a probation violation case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hopkins. Yes, I do have that. I do have it. I do beg your pardon. I was looking at the SAP calendar. Sorry about that. Okay, this is Shante Hopkins in courtroom 2. Would that be correct, Mr. Hopkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have a probation matter. Your original case was 22 CR 3302D, in which you were convicted of simple battery. The probation matter is 23 PV 1234. And you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. Paige Medinger. And Officer Allison, what are we doing with both these cases today?
Yes, Mr. Hopkins failed to pay probation fees in total of $360, victim crime funds in a total of $81, failed to report on November 18th of 2022, and also February 28th, 2022, failed to report to court on May 9th, 2023, failed to enroll in University of Parents. He has 3 months and 28 days left on probation. Probation is recommended for time served, case closed.
Ms. Medinger, are these the terms that your client has agreed to?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hopkins, this probation case is going to be marked as a violation on your record. And the recommendation, I will accept that from the probation office, and that is to commute the remainder time and to close your obligations on this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, Ms. Menninger, thank you very much.
Hey, excuse me, Judge Law.
Yes, Francois?
The next case I'm getting ready to pull out, he's in the back tank. He is a MH,
Okay,
position 13, Mr. Hodge. So if you can give me a second, please.
all right,
And again, he's MH.
understood.
Hi, hi. Have a seat in a green chair for me.
Mr. Coleman?
This is reset jail jury. I've already filed the waiver.
All right. This is State versus Jeremy Hodge, accused of terroristic threats, willful obstruction, loitering and prowling in case number 23 CR 5727E. Good morning, Mr. Hodge. My name is Judge Law. You have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you choose to say can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is the gentleman seated next to you, Mr. Daryl Coleman. who will be speaking on your behalf. On behalf of your particular case, your attorney has entered a not guilty plea, and you are going to have a chance to exercise your right to a trial. So we will inform you of what your next court date is going to be for a trial. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
That's it.
Go ahead and go to the back. Yeah. Judge, all of my other cases are gonna be with Mr. McLean, and I think he's in a breakout, if I'm not mistaken.
He needs to be out of the breakout now. Mr. Jordan, it is Mr. Jordan who's hosting, yes?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan, could you please tell Mr. McLean that his time is up and he needs to come back to court?
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman, you have quite a few reset jail jury cases.
Yes.
Okay, as I understand, position 4 is null pros with Torrico Derica.
Yes, well, he had 2 positions. There's a plea on position 5. The page up here is gonna be non-pros. But we do need to.
Oh, that's a plea. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay, so that's position 3.
Excuse me, Judge, can we go position number 11, please? Look at your chat for me, Judge, please.
All right.
Thank you. The offer was a stairway in that class, but you didn't state it, so I
Oh,
need to make sure.
position 9.
Mr. Harris, position number 11.
Oh, yeah, to stay away from all Walmarts and to
Yeah, I'm
take
sorry.
a 60 hours community service and take the class within first 60 days.
Okay, I just want to make sure, Judge.
Yeah.
And that was position 9, Mr. Harris.
Yes, position 9, exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. And with Mr. Coleman's cases, so position. I'm just going over your cases while I'm waiting for Mr. McLean.
Okay, yeah, while we're waiting, we could do position 6. That was just gonna be a bond hearing. He's, I waived his presence, and I understand that he's actually been transferred out of Rice Street anyway.
Position 6, that's
Lamel Edwards.
okay. Are you waiving his appearance?
I've already filed the waiver.
Okay, so this is 23 CR 5428A. Mr. Lamel Edwards, represented by Mr. Coleman, who's waived his appearance, is accused of criminal trespass. And let's see, the allegation was the incident was August 24th, 2023. And Mr. Edwards had his initial appearance where bond was set. Did he get a bond?
Yeah, I believe that the bond, 1 second.
Looks like we had multiple resets.
Yeah, I believe the bond on the case was $1,000 surety. He was on the calendar 1 day last week. He is being reset to jail jury. I did file a waiver on his behalf.
Okay.
Offer made on his case was time served, 80 days. I'm requesting that Mr. Edwards be granted a signature bond. Again, he's been in custody for 80 days. The solicitor's office saw fit to release him after the 80 days because the case has been reset for a trial. He's going to remain in custody unless he's released on a signature bond, and we simply do not know how long it's going to be before he gets a court date in division, state court division. So based on those reasons, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf. Again, if he pled guilty, he would have already been released.
All right. Miss Tyson, this is position 6. I don't see where pretrial services has recommended him for a UJR or pretrial. 22 arrest cycles. Anything else to add?
Yes, he has 21 motorcycles. He does have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, misdemeanor conviction. He has a Clayton County theft by shoplifting. That's from 2020, and a willful obstruction of law enforcement officer. He has another 2020 case out of Clayton County for improper solicitation of money. Let's see. He has 2 counts of disorderly conduct out of Jonesboro, and that's from April of 2022. He has a criminal trespass from October of 2022 out of Clayton County. He has a criminal trespass out of Jonesboro, and it looks like he's possibly still under sentence. He received a 12-month suspended sentence on that case.
Mhm.
And it looks like he has an open Jonesboro case. The arrest date was September of 2022. There's another open disorderly conduct out of Jonesboro. That arrest was October 30th of 2022. And his last conviction was a misdemeanor conviction for another criminal trespass out of Clayton County. And that was a NOLO plea that he took May of 2023.
All right,
Yep.
thank you very much.
If the court does see fit to grant Mr. Edwards a signature bond, we would ask that it be through the jail.
All right. Mr. Pierre Thomas, any comment?
Your Honor, we leave it to the discretion of the court, but we just ask that it be through the pretrial services. If the court sees fit to grant a signature bond.
There'll be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, and stay away from the incident location, which I need to pull up.
It is 3625 North Commerce Drive, East Point, Atlanta. Or East Point, Georgia, sorry.
East Point, Georgia. All right, Mr. Coleman, if you can submit the proposed order to Miss Grace, she's put her email in the chat.
I'll
Okay,
submit this afternoon, thank you.
thank you. All right, Francois, may I go to 5 North or? Deputy Francois?
Yes, we're rotating, Judge. We just do one-on-one.
Okay, so I'll go to 5 North, and that would be Mr. McLean's case. Mr. McLean, that was position 17, is that correct?
I think it's 27, maybe.
27, okay. All right, this is State versus Xavier Thomas, accused of terroristic threats, case number 22 CR 713Y. And the incident date appears to be September 29th, 2021. Mr. Thomas also has a bench warrant, 23 FTA 863 from December 13th, 2022. Mr. Thomas, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean, how are we going to proceed with these 2 positions?
This is a negotiated plea today, Your Honor, on the first of the 2 positions.
All right.
With a null cross on the second.
Understood. Mr. Thomas, please raise your right hand. And 5 North, please unmute. Mr. Thomas, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? You need to speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jackson, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. And what is the recommendation for Mr. Xavier Thomas?
The recommendation is 24 days in jail, credit for the time he's already served, which is 12 days. The balance will be on probation. Stay away from Tamika Williams. An anger awareness class. A stay away from 1117 Perimeter Center, Suite E 210 and Sandy Springs.
And the state will agree to null cross the FTA?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
We're not crossing that.
And
Thank you, Judge.
McLean, does your client accept those terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor. Perimeter Center West is an office complex and often called PCW, but he knows exactly where to stay away from.
All right. Mr. Thomas, if we could unmute 5 North, please. you'll need to speak up so I can hear you. I have to decide whether your plea of guilty to this charge is voluntary. If I don't get the sense that it's voluntary, then I'm not going to accept the plea and you're going to continue remaining in jail with the current bond situation. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today? All right, again, you need to speak up.
No, I'm sorry. My voice, I lost my voice. No, ma'am.
Okay. And has it been explained to you that if you enter a guilty plea today, that you would be giving up your right to a trial, to go back to court to face a judge or a jury, to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence and witnesses brought before you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of terroristic threats and acts?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to ask you again, how do you plead to one count of terroristic threats and acts?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 24 days, credit for time served 12 days. Your time at the jail is completed. You will serve the remainder of your sentence on probation. You'll report to probation next Thursday. While on probation, you will complete an anger awareness class. You will stay away from Tamanika Williams. You're to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner.
Yes,
You'll
ma'am.
also stay 200 yards away from the location identified as 1117 Perimeter Center, Suite E210, which will probably include the entire building complex as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's located in Sandy Springs. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, that was the plea. Thank you.
Thank you.
The bench warrant is null prost.
Thank you.
Francois, I'm going on to AC/DC. If we are doing hippity hoppity, is that okay?
Well, we like to start with the jail first, do majority of our cases.
All right, you go ahead. Who's next?
Position number 22, Mr. McMillan.
All right, 22, there we go. Lawrence McMillan is accused of simple battery in 23 CR 5482Y. Mr. McMillan's incident date is September 11, 2023. Sir, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your counsel is Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean, all right, long explanation. Is this going to be a non-negotiated plea?
It may turn out to be that. I was waiting on a phone call at 612-2392 as an answer to whether or not the counter offer was accepted or.
Ms. Jackson? Did you receive a counter offer from Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I would have to check on that. If you could just give me a moment on that, we can go to another position and I'll check on that.
Sure.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, and Ms. Grace and Mr. Jordan, I have to take a brief recess at 10 o'clock. So it'll just be a 10-minute recess. So, but for now, we'll keep going on. Who's your next client, Mr. McLean?
Oh, well,
We're coming back to him.
anything from 17 to 33 would be fine.
Position number 25, Mr. Suttles. Have a seat over there.
What happened?
Are we coming back to?
Yes.
Okay.
Going back now. Mr. Suttles is next.
Suttles. 25, was it?
I believe it was
I have Travis Suttles. Would that be correct?
25 is correct.
Okay. Mr. Oops, where's my PD's cheat sheet?
And that is a negotiated plea as well, Your Honor.
All right. So Travis Suttles is case 23 CR 5682C, accused of obstruction of a law enforcement officer. And Mr. Suttles, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Ms. Jackson, what is the plea recommendation for this case?
Your Honor, the state is asking for 10 days in jail credit for the 1 day that he has already served.
So you want about 4 more days in jail.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and that concludes the case. Mr. McLean?
That would be Sunday, this coming Sunday, and he understands the offer and asks the court to allow his negotiated plea to go through.
All right,
Stipulates the 3 necessary elements.
thank you. Mr. Suttles, have you consumed it? Excuse me, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Suttles, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Your attorney has explained to you the charge and the plea recommendation. Is anyone forcing you to take that plea?
No, ma'am.
And are you doing so willingly, voluntarily, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your legal services?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that if you decide to plead guilty, you have about 4 more days to serve at the Fulton County Jail. Is that something you're willing to accept?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and if you accept that, then you're giving up your right to a trial. You will not go back to court. You will not have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You will not be able to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of obstruction of an officer?
I plead yes.
Your sentence is to serve 10 days, credit for time served 1 day. You technically have about 4 more days to serve at the jail with the release date of Sunday. Thank you. And then it'll be balance suspended.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Position 32, Mr. Woodard.
Your Honor, this is a request to reset for 1 week. Considering what the offer was, we discussed the case. There is some confusion as to whether or not this other case turned into this case, and we're going to research that, but it won't harm him to ask for a week reset.
Case reset to October 12th, 9 a.m. SAP calendar. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got Mr. Holloman, Mr. Reginald Holloman. I don't know what position number he is though.
Probation.
All right, Francois, I'm gonna, am I moving on to 5 North?
Yes, that's fine, Judge. Thank you.
All right, then can I go to ACDC?
Okay.
All right. All right, 5 North, we have a probation case with Mr. Holloman.
I think that was the add-on, Judge.
Yeah.
How much can you go to?
He's position 9 on, and 8 and 9 on the main
Yeah, how many?
one. I think we are done with the add-on. The add-on was private counsel.
I'm sorry.
All right. This is Reginald Lermont Holloman at 5 North, case number 17 CR 11993J. He was convicted of criminal trespass, and the second case he has is 17 CR 11994J, and 1 more count of a conviction for criminal trespass. And looks like the convictions were from 2016 and 2017. Oh, those were the offense dates. Ms. Allison, can you tell me when were these conviction dates?
Yeah, on the petition, I had them both as April 27, 2017.
Okay. And Mr. Holloman, you've been advised, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and your counsel is Mr. Daryl Coleman, who is in courtroom 2. Mr. Coleman, would you move a little bit to your left because your client can see you? Thank you very much. Okay. Ms. Allison, you've already been sworn. What's the state wanting to do with these 2 probation cases?
With him not completing the domestic violence intervention program and failing to report, he only has 4 months, 4 days left. Probation is recommended to time served and case closed.
No objection.
All right. Okay, Mr. Holloman, it appears that both these cases are going to be marked as a probation violation on your record. And the recommendation is going to be accepted to commute the remainder of the time and close the case. So your obligations for these two cases are done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, courtroom 2, I'll be with you very shortly. ACDC Jail Court, I have 3 ladies seated there. Good morning, my name is Judge Law. And this is going to be the state all-purpose calendar where we're going to get a status of your cases to see whether you would like to exercise your right to a trial, in which case your matter would be arraigned and further notice for trial. Otherwise, based on your conversations with your attorney, I'll also see if you want to possibly enter a plea in exchange for a recommended sentence. During the course of your cases, please remember you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say during the course of these proceedings, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and one of our attorneys from the Public Defender's Office or Conflict Defense will represent you. Which officer do I have at ACDC?
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Officer Milton.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Milton.
Good morning. Coming up before you is position number 7, Francis. Raven Francis, please come forward and have a seat.
What are the position numbers that you have right now?
7, 8, and 14.
Okay, thank you. So those would all be Mr. Coleman's clients.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman, looks like you are taking a plea. I mean, they're taking a plea for from ACDC, correct?
Yes, on all 3.
All right. With all the 3 ladies, please sit up and raise your right hand. Do you all solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? You need to say yes.
Yes.
All right, I heard 3 yeses. Position number 7, I have Miss Raven Francis, accused of simple assault from September 19, 2023. Her accusation is 23 CR 5685G. Miss Francis, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, so we are going to hear the recommended sentence, and then your attorney will advise me accordingly. Mr. Pierre Thomas?
Your Honor, the recommendation from the state is 12 months probation to serve 30 days, credit for the 16 days that she's already served, 20 hours of community service, 1 anger management course, a no further contact with Camalita, Camalita, Stanley, traditional spelling, and a stay away from all martyrs at 30 Alabama Street. Nothing further from the state.
Okay. Do you know if she's got any current suspensions from MARTA?
I do not know at this time, Your Honor.
All right. So you want to stay away from the underground MARTA station until probation completes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, we would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We would ask that the probation would terminate once she's completed the 1 anger management course. That probation needs to be waived for a period of time. We would stipulate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID.
Ms. Francis, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
In your discussions with your attorney, have you understood what's been going on?
Yes, ma'am.
And the phone number for the courtroom is 404-612-2392. That's the jail courtroom, just responding to the chat.
It is.
Okay. I'm sorry about that, Ms. Francis. Ms. Francis, are you satisfied with your attorney services?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to accept this plea offer, you would have to give up your right to a trial before a judge or a jury. You will not have the opportunity to go back to court, to challenge the evidence that's brought before you, to confront your accuser, present any defenses if you choose to do so, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of simple assault?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 16 days. If you have no other cases holding you, you will report to probation next week, next Thursday, where you will begin your probation term. You will need to complete 20 hours of community service at any nonprofit agency, complete an anger management program, I think 1 anger management class, have no further contact with Carmelita Stanley, and for the entire term of your probation, which is going to be for 11 months, you have to stay away from the underground MARTA station. You can use any other MARTA station to get on a bus or get on a train, but you cannot stop or you cannot embark from the underground MARTA station. So that's going to be a challenge since that's the main hub. All right. Don't forget to report to probation next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Francois, I know we're going to come back to courtroom 2, but I'm just going to finish up the 2 cases in ACDC, okay?
Okay, Judge.
All right, next position is position 8, I believe.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, this is State versus Cayenne Griggs, accused of misdemeanor possession of marijuana and willful obstruction of an officer. Ms. Griggs, thank you. You can have a seat. You've already been sworn and advised of your rights. Mr. Pierre Thomas, what is the state recommending for both these charges?
Your Honor, the state on count, it appears that the state is on count 1 recommending 28 days to serve 14 days released on time served. And on count 2, 28 days to serve 14 days released on time served for a total of 28 days with credit for the time served released on time served.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the 3 necessary elements?
Yes, Your Honor, we ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We will stipulate to a factual basis as well as the venue and ID.
Understood. Ms. Griggs, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Based on the charges that have been brought against you, your attorney during your discussions went over your waiver of rights. I just want to make sure that you understand that if you decide to plead guilty to these charges, you will not have a trial. There's no opportunity to go back to court and confront your accuser, to challenge the evidence brought against you, present any defenses, and have the state try to prove the original charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of misdemeanor possession of marijuana and 1 count of willful obstruction of a officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, balance suspended. Thank you. That concludes your case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, and position 14, if you'd like to come forward, please.
That's you, Ms. Hogan.
Yes, ma'am. How y'all doing there?
Doing well, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is State versus Kawanika Latrice Hogan, accused of abandonment of a dependent child, 23 CR 5681G. Ms. Hogan, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman, and you've already been sworn. Mr. Pierre Thomas, what is the recommendation?
Your Honor, the recommendation from the state is 12 months probation to serve 30 days, credit for the 16 days that she's already served, balance probated, and a completion of a parenting course, and to abide by all or any orders or instructions that are given by the Department of Family and Children's Services.
And Mr. Coleman, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
She does, Your Honor. We would ask that the court accept the plea as negotiated. We would request that the probation would terminate once she's completed the parenting course, and that probation fees be waived for a period of time. We will stipulate to a factual basis as well as venue and ID.
Thank you. Ms. Hogan, did you understand the charge that was brought against you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And in proceeding today, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
Have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you understood the discussions that you and your attorney have had?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with his services?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And during the discussions, has it been explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty, that you would have to comply with the directives issued by defects, and that you would need to take a parenting class and make sure there's not a repeat of such an incident?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It's really tough if you don't have your child with you. So
I
I
know.
hope you are able to comply. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What was your question?
Oh, can I be around the kids or?
That will depend on what defects program plan is for you. That's why one of the requirements for your sentence is to comply with the plan set forth by defects. They may allow you to have be with your kids right away, or they may require you to sit down with them, go through consulting, and then they'll give you the plan. So I don't know what the defects plan is.
Okay, thank you.
Do you still want to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you decide to proceed, please also understand that you will have to give up your right to a trial, to give up your right to confront your accuser, the ability to challenge the evidence brought by the state and by the evidence brought by the state, either in the form of documents or witnesses, and also to give up your right to have the state try to prove the original charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you plead to one count of abandonment of a dependent child?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 16 days. Your jail time is concluded, but you would have to report to probation next week, and you report next Thursday before 3 p.m. Your attorney will give you the location and so forth.
Okay.
While you're on probation, you will complete a parenting class, and you must pass that class with flying colors.
I'm gonna pass. Yes,
And
ma'am.
you are also to abide by all the directives and plans set forth by defects with regards to the child in question or with regards to any other children you have. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That concludes this case. Courtroom
Thank
2.
you.
Thank you, Deputy Milton. We are concluded with ACDC.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Take care. Mr. Coleman, who do you have seated next to you?
This is Mr. King, Judge, position number 18.
That's Mr. McLean's case, 18 through 21. Mr. McLean, are we doing a waiver of arraignment?
We're going to waive a formal reading of the accusation. He wanted to be present. I told him you could waive your presence if you want, but he just wanted to be in the courtroom, Your Honor. So if we waive the formal reading of each of the 3 accusations, which are everything but 20 is an FTA.
Understood. Okay. This is State versus Marquez King. He's got the following cases. First of all, Mr. King, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Michael McLean. You do have 3 separate cases before us. And has Mr. McLean, have you gone through the cases and explained what are the charges brought against him, as well as the nature of those charges for all 3 cases?
Yes, Your Honor. We read all the paperwork yesterday together.
All right. Mr. King, do you understand all the charges that have been brought against you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right. So I'm going to waive the reading for one of the cases. For case number 23 CR 3705F, Mr. King is accused of battery, a misdemeanor offense from May 7, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. In case 23 CR 005468F, Mr. King is accused of 2 counts of simple battery with an incident date of May 27, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. With regards to the third case, 20 CR 5423F, I'm going to waive sounding on the 1 misdemeanor charge, and the offense date is September 26, 2020 in Fulton County, Georgia. The fourth case is a bench warrant, 23 FTA 508, allegedly from April 6, 2023. Mr. King, with regards to these cases, you are presumed innocent of the charges, and upon your entry of a not guilty plea to the 3 cases I have listed, your case will be further noticed for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecutor, which is the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County, has the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the prosecution does carry its burden and prevails on all the charges brought against you in all these cases, you could be convicted of 1 or more of these offenses and face a penalty of up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine for each convicted offense. Given this information, how do you plead to all 3 cases listed?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, your cases are going to be further noticed for trial, and you and your attorney will get notice of that trial date. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a very brief 10-minute recess. I'll be with you shortly. Mr. McLean, I hope you get your answer for position number 22 when I return. Okay?
We're almost at the end of that discussion, Your Honor. Yes.
All right, please use the time constructively then. All right, folks, please, there will be order and silence unless the attorneys are discussing. And if you need a breakout, please refer to Mr. Jordan to set a breakout for you. Thank you.
Derek, when you have a second, I got a question for you about a 30-day ankle monitor for house arrest.
They're waiting. Just hold on.
Mr. Thomas Pierre.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
This is Ms. Grace. Can you read your chat for me? And it's on position number 11.
Okay, we'll do 1 moment.
You said read the chat?
Yes, that I sent to you pertaining to position number 11.
Right, I responded, but I put it in the chat. You talking about the names?
Yes.
I must have responded to the wrong person. Are you Fulton County State Court?
You got to pay for it.
Let me see, because I don't have speaker view. I must have sent it to the wrong person. Sorry. Let's try this. Did you get it? Hello?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
So you said I had to go to the chat?
No, sir. You're just waiting for the judge to come back.
All right.
Are we in a breakout? Are we in a breakout?
We're in recess. Judge Law needed a 10-minute break.
for just for two.
Two more on 5 North, and then I gotta get 5 more people that we're done on 5 North.
But they never come down off their bike. Judge.
Chair split. It's right here. We're all doing it.
No. No, I'm not right.
All right, sorry about that delay. Let's resume with our calendar. And are we going to begin with courtroom with 5 North?
I believe so, Your Honor. I have Townsend in front of you, position number 29.
Position 29, okay.
Go in here. He's on loan out. This is lease.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Mr. McLean, that's your client, position 29. This is going to be an arraignment, or will you be filing a waiver of arraignment?
Your Honor, this is a bond request.
Okay,
There's we can file a waiver of arraignment, certainly. We'll do that when we get back to the office. I still owe you a few.
and let me just go ahead and do this. All right, Mr. Tompkins, your case is 20 CR 5042G, accused of battery causing substantial physical harm and simple battery. This is from a December 31st, 2019 incident. Mr. Tompkins, you've been advised of you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean with the Public Defender's Office. So this case was, is he here on a bench warrant or?
Your Honor, I believe there was a bond surrender on some things, and this is one of the things that was bond surrendered. I would note that the language of the 2 different pages of accusation, one is called battery, substantial physical harm, and the other one is called simple battery. And each one is the same factual pattern of a claim that he hit somebody in the face with an object, a tree branch, causing a visible injury. So I think they would kind of be, they would be more or less in the alternative. But that's my opinion of.
Hang on, let me, will the host please mute AC/DC? I think we forgot to, okay, thank you.
So I didn't want the court to think that that he was accused of doing 2 things. I think he's accused of doing 1. That's just my reading of it. But Your Honor, this was in December of 2019, so it's coming up on 4 years. And that is one of the principal reasons I would ask the court to consider a signature bond, because it is almost 4 years old and it's basically a 1-count case.
All right.
He has apparently the bond surrender, I think, occurred because he got a new charge.
All right. Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, I understand where the defense is coming from. However, the recommendation would only have him serving an additional 7 days. So we would ask the court to keep the bond where it is. Mr. Smith has an extensive record, and he has 2 open cases. And as the defense has already acknowledged, the bond company came off of his bond. And so we would ask the court to keep the bond where it is. Nothing further from the state.
Smith is the alleged victim.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tompkins, I'm sorry.
And Ms. Ms. Tyson, could you give me some information about these open cases?
Yes, Your Honor. I only have one case number. It's 23 SC 175750. And that's out of Fulton County. His arrest was June 21st of 2023. And it was for aggravated assault, possession of firearm or knife during the commission of and a battery family violence first offense.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find a second one. Let's see. I believe it is 21 SC 178750.
Do you have an incident date for that case?
Let's see. And that's for a criminal trespass, reckless conduct, simple battery, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and a battery. I'm sorry, scratch that, not the battery. Yep, possession of firearm by a convicted felon.
All right, that's August 26, 2020. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay.
Right, and we would make 2 points on each of those 2 allegations. The case in the Superior Court, of course, and he's presumed innocent, and he is adamant in maintaining his factual innocence.
Understood. So on the battery family violence battery causing substantial physical harm, bond is set at what that was surrendered was 10,500 previously set. And the simple battery was also, okay.
I think the 10.5 might be both together.
Yeah. Okay, on the simple battery, I'm going to amend that to a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. On the battery, causing substantial physical harm is going to be a $5,000 surety bond. His total bond is $8,000. It's a split bond with the same conditions: no contact with the victim and to stay away from the location. No alcohol, drugs, and weapons and firearms. He's not allowed to possess any firearms based on his current charges as well from the other cases. 5 North, if you could please unmute. Mr. Tompkins, you have a right to remain silent. If you want to say anything, I recommend you speak to your attorney. Otherwise, anything you say can and will be used against you in the treatment of this case or any other open cases you currently have.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. This case is an older case. It's in 2019, and I've been dealing with this case for a long time now. And I also have pleaded not guilty over 3 times in court. Doing me being out on bond already, and the bond is sustained high right now. They only charged me $25,000 to get out the first time. Now we're going up to a few more thousand that I don't have, and it's hindering me from a bigger case that I'm dealing with. And I just ask for your mercy, just a little bit on this older case that I could continuously plead not guilty on. And last week, the DEA offered me time served. I have did over 50 days in jail doing this case. I have been in jail right now since they surrendered my bond over 30 days. And before I had got paid the bond in 2020, I was in jail for over 30 days.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tompkins. That is a very persuasive argument. but let's go through over some things. And this is just in Fulton County. I'm not even counting what's going on in other jurisdictions. 2017, March, you were arrested and booked for possession of firearm during commission of a felony and possession of cocaine. And that was in 2017. And you were then arrested for a bench warrant in 2017 for a case from 2016. And then in 2020, you were arrested for this battery charge, plus a felony charge of possession of firearm by convicted felon, and that you were booked in. And then after that, you were charged in 2022 for another count of battery family violence. And then after that, in 2022, and that was in January of 2022. And then in November of 2022, you were charged with another count of battery family violence, possession of a firearm during the commission, well, you got a felony conviction, and icing on the cake, aggravated assault. And your attorneys are absolutely correct. You are legally presumed innocent of these charges, legally presumed. And you have been dealing with these cases, but you keep stumbling and rolling and falling and being charged with more serious offenses. So where I have to think of bond, I think that you have a very high likelihood to reoffend. That's what I think. And that's why you get a $8,000 split bond, which I think is very reasonable. Thank you. That concludes this hearing. You can speak to your attorney, sir. I would not recommend you adding any more to this case. Next case, please. That's okay. He can identify himself.
Mr. Position number 4 and 5, Mr. Derricott.
Okay. All right, this is position 3, position, is it 3 or 5?
4 and 5.
4 and 5, got it, okay. Position 5, Mr. Torrico Derricott is 19 CR 9666B, in which he was accused of criminal trespass from April 16, 2019. He's got a bench warrant matter 23 FTA 862 from April 16, 2019. Oh, I guess that was the arrest date. Okay. Mr. Derrico, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Darrell Coleman. Mr. Coleman, this is going to be a plea on position 5 and then a null cross on position 4. Would that be correct?
Correct.
All right. Mr. Derricott, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Pierre Thomas, what is the plea offer for position 5?
Yeah, the offer from the state is a time served offer, 12 days in custody, credit for the 9 days that he's already served, time served. On count 1 and on count 2, same thing, time served, 15 days to serve in custody, credit for the 9 days that he's already served. Again, plea and close.
All right, thank you. Mr. Coleman, are those the terms that your client agrees, and do you stipulate to the 3 elements?
It is, Your Honor. We was so stipulate.
Thank you. Mr. Derricott, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you entering a plea willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily?
Willingly, ma'am.
All right. And do you understand that if you decide to enter a plea to the criminal trespass, that you would not get an opportunity to have a trial? You will not be able to go back to court, confront your accuser, challenge the evidence and the witnesses brought before you, and have the state try to prove the original charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be, oh, sorry, and you got another charge of obstruction of a law enforcement officer. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty, ma'am.
All right. For both counts, your sentence is going to be to serve 15 days, credit for time served 9 days. balance suspended. So it's a time served on both matters, and that closes your case out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, I have a couple more people to get on another floor. I'm gonna go to another floor and get, I believe, 5 more people, and then I conclude me.
Okay, well, we will wait for you. Thank you.
Have a good rest of the evening.
You too, Mr. Dericotte. Good luck. Mr. Coleman, is Deputy Francois in courtroom 2?
Not right now, no.
Okay. So we still have a couple more cases on probation, and we still have a couple more cases on SAP. Is Mr. Howard and normally I have Miss Falk or Mr. Walker to do the competency calendar. Is that Mr. Howard's ready eagerly? But
Yes, Judge, I believe Mr. Rhodes is going to be handling the competency calendar.
okay, I'm getting some feedback from your end. Do you have multiple devices open?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So who's your partner in crime? Kasha. Okay. All right. Mr. Rhodes, good morning, Ms. Rhodes. Mr. Jordan, if you could place Ms. Kasha, Mr. Howard, Mr. Rhodes, and myself in a breakout, please.
Ms. Burgess.
Oh, Ms. Burgess, is she here? Oh, there she is, Kia Burgess. Okay, I see her.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna do with Tompkins. Well, once you're done Tompkins. Yeah, still 2 more probation. I got a non-negotiated too. And if you got 2 more probation cases.
Number 33 is ridiculous and still bond request. He's got $72,000 in bond. Now we ask him for the cut in bond.
Well, it looks like they're back to doing the bond hearings. After you did this one, I was considering, because my client has a 2019 case too, but I don't know what his situation is.
They just went to the breakout room, so I'll put you in the breakout room with them.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Coleman? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm here, Your Honor.
All right, and looks like you've added a lot more friends to your room. Okay. All right, sir, who would like to begin with?
I just have two positions now, position 1 and position 3, they're on the floor. I think they're ready to do Mr. McMillan.
Let me pull him out.
And I think one of my other officers was on his way to a different floor, so.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Is Mike in here?
No, he's not.
Because that's this one I said.
Let me pull him out anyway.
It said McMillan?
Yes, that's Mr. McLean's client. He should be back shortly.
And Judge, it's perfect time, and I see that Mr. Ely, or AKA James Dolson, has logged on.
Okay.
So we can handle that case as well. That Ms. Chan is probably there with him, or yes.
Thank you, perfect. And this was
It is position 3, Judge.
Dotson, right?
Right,
Dolson.
Right, that's the AKA. His
Okay.
correct name is Vincent Ely, but it's AKA James Dolson, which is what he was booked in under, Judge.
Okay. So his booked in name was James Dosen, also known as Vincent Ely. Would that be correct?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ely, my name is Judge Law. If you can hear me and understand me, please raise your hand.
Morning, Judge Hall.
Morning. Mr. Ely, first of all, I'm going to address you as Mr. Ely. Is that the name you go by?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were booked into the Fulton County system as James Dosen, then that's going to be what we refer to as your primary alias. Your case number is 23CR 000549F. State versus James Dosen, also known as Vincent Ely. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? Okay.
I have to repeat it because my case manager is going to write that down for me.
Okay.
Repeat that.
I haven't really said a lot, but is she ready? All right, Mr. McLean, can you mute courtroom 2, please? Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Ely, is your case manager ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is State versus James Dosen, also known as Vincent Ely, case number 23CR 000549F. Mr. Dosen was originally charged with battery at a public transit vehicle or station with the offense date of January 27, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. Mr. Ely, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case, and you should let your attorney speak for you, because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, Mr. Derek Howard with the Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you and will be speaking on your behalf. This is going to be a plea hearing, so Mr. Dosen, also Mr. Ely, may I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? If you raise your right hand, your other right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may put your hand down, sir. All right. Prosecutor, Mr. Lamar Rhodes, is going to tell us what are the, you can put your arm down, sir. Mr. Ely, you can put your arm down. Thank you. All right, Mr. Rhodes, what's the recommendation, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. It is 12 months to serve, 365 days, credit for 252 days already served, and balance suspended, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Howard, are those the terms to which your client has accepted, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
That is, Judge. It will effectively make it a time served plea offer, balance suspended, which is what Mr. Ely and I discussed yesterday. So yes, we'd ask the court to accept that plea recommendation as stated by Mr. Rose.
Mr. Ely, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
Yes, medication, ma'am.
All right, but after having consumed that, are you still able to understand the proceedings?
I do understand, ma'am.
Right, and are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
Not, ma'am.
And Mr. Ely, as you've discussed it with your attorney, if you decide to enter a guilty plea to this charge, you will have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial. There will be no trial. You will not have the chance to face a judge or a jury. You will not be able to confront your accuser, challenge the witnesses and the evidence brought against you, and have the prosecutor carry its burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of battery at a public transit or vehicle?
Guilty, ma'am.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 365 days. Credit for time served 252 days. Your obligation for this case is now completed because the balance is suspended. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Good luck to
you.
Mr. Ely.
All right, Mr. We can close out the Zoom at Mr. Ely's appearance. Thank you very much. And courtroom 2, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. The whole marriage.
Okay. Please refresh my memory. What position are we on?
This is Mr. McMillan. I believe that's
22. All right.
2. That's correct.
Okay. This is State versus Lawrence McMillan, 23 CR 5482Y, in which he's been accused of simple battery domestic violence from September 11th, 2023. Mr. McMillan, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and Mr. Michael McLean will be your counsel. Is this going to be a plea?
A non-negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. McMillan, a non-negotiated plea means that I'm first going to hear from the prosecutor as to what the recommended sentence is if you decide to plead guilty. And then I will hear from your attorney as to what an alternative recommendation should be. After I've considered the 2 recommendations and based on your criminal history record and the circumstances surrounding this case, I will make my decision and let you know what my decision is before we move forward with a plea hearing. Ms. Jackson, what is the state's recommendation?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 90 days in jail, credit for the 24 days that he's already been in custody, to stay away from 955 North Central Avenue in Hapeville, and no further contact with the victim, Martika Coakley, and Family Balance Intervention Program, 40 hours of community service, and no firearms.
And do you want to make a recitation of the facts to support this recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. Officers were dispatched to a domestic call and they met with the defendant first, who stated that he did not put hands on the victim, who is Martika Coakley, and the last name is spelled, well, first name is Martika. Last name is Coakley, Cokley. Ms. Coakley stated that she was watching a movie with her 2 children when the defendant began cursing at her and telling her to leave. As Ms. Coakley was gathering her things, the defendant put both hands on her neck. Both children witnessed the event, and her juvenile daughter stated that she saw the defendant choke her like she would choke someone for real, and the child was scared. So, Your Honor, that is why the state is making the recommendation that they are making.
All right, and Mr. McLean, what is the defense's alternative recommendation?
Your Honor, Mr. McMillan has a check for disability that he doesn't want to see cut off, which Social Security will cut that check off, they say, in 30 days of a person being in jail. The 30th day would be in about 5 or 6 days from now would be October 11th, because September has 30 days, of course. If Social Security is really on its game and it's exactly precise, he's really afraid of staying in jail past 5 or 6 days from now. So, Your Honor, for that reason, we'd like to ask for 58 or 60 days as the jail time. And that would put him out in 5 or 6 days. The FVIP he's agreeing to, even though if he were to go to trial, the facts may not show at all the FV, because I believe this happened in apartment 4 on Sim Street, not North Central. That's Starlight apartment complex, and her mother lives next door. So she doesn't stay with him, but if it were to go to trial, it'd be different. But he's willing to take the FVIP, which I said to him goes along with the family violence charge if he were to plead guilty today as it is. So there are some reasons why he'd like to go forward with it today, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Tyson, do we have a GCIC on Mr. McMillan?
Yes, we do. So Mr. McMillan, he has 25 arrest cycles beginning in 2008. He does have let's see, an arrest in 2009 that was for criminal trespass, simple battery, family violence, and battery. It looks like that resulted in a misdemeanor conviction in 2009 for the simple battery, family violence, and battery. He has a felony conviction outside of the 10-year period for family violence, battery, second or subsequent offense. Let's see. He has a misdemeanor conviction out of DeKalb County for theft by deception. That's in 2015. He has a felony conviction out of Clayton County for the family violence, battery, second or subsequent events, and that's from 2016.
That's plenty. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. McLean, explain to the math to me. If he has to serve 90 days with credit for 24 days, how many more days does he have at jail?
That would be 21 more days in jail, and it would put him at 45 days of jail total. So that would be October the 26th, I believe.
And his Social Security lapses in 30 days. So he'll be released to renew his Social Security?
Well, he would ask them to cut it back on. If he stays here past 30 days, if they notice, then they're supposed to cut it off, I think, about the 30th day, or precisely the 30th day, which would be October 11th. Now, the reason he has a brain injury, Your Honor, is that he was hit by an ambulance as a child in New York City where he grew up.
I'm not talking about his mitigating factors. I'm talking about his problem with wanting to reinstate his disability or lose his disability income.
Right, he doesn't want it.
So when does it lapse?
It normally, they have a rule where they cut, if they see a person stays in jail for 30 days or more, or I'm not sure of the exact phrasing, more than 30 days or 30 days or more, then they're supposed to cut the check off. And for a 1-year period of time, they'll cut it back on it upon request, upon release, without going through a new total medical evaluation. After a year, of course, they require an entire new application.
Right. I was reading the pleadings and so forth, and also considering his arrest record with his multiple violent convictions. I believe the state's recommendation is consistent with the circumstances of Mr. McMillan's case. Does he want to accept the state's recommendation, or would he like to have a trial?
We have talked about the contingencies in this non-negotiated plea, and he's going to stick with the plea, Your Honor, and ask the court to sentence him.
All right. Mr. McMillan, I'm accepting the state's recommendation, which is going to require you to serve 90 days with credit of the current 24 days you've served, which means you have about another 21 days. Although it may cause a lapse in your Social Security income, apparently this is something that you can renew without having to go through a whole new application. Are you still willing to move forward with this plea hearing?
Yes.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Right.
All right, and Mr. McLean, do you stipulate to venue and ID?
We do.
All right. Mr. McMillan, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, I do take medicine.
Okay, you don't have to tell me what it is. But if you've taken the medicine, have you still been able to understand your attorney and the proceedings so far?
Yes,
Okay, and are you satisfied with your attorney?
yes.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea offer today based
ma'am.
on the discussions we've had?
No, ma'am.
And are you entering a guilty plea to this charge freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
Please understand that if you enter this plea, you would have to give up your right to a trial, to confront your accuser, to challenge the evidence and the witnesses that may be brought before you by the state, to present any defenses you may have if you choose to present them, and also to have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to waive these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery, family violence?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 90 days, credit for time served 24 days. After the completion of the additional 21 days, you'll be released and placed on probation, providing you have no other cases holding you at the jail.
Okay.
Once you are reporting to probation, you will report at the first available weekday, which can be a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. You are to begin probation. While on probation, you are to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program, and that enrollment must be done within 60 days of being released.
Okay.
You also to complete 40 hours of community service. You are to not possess and own any firearms. You are to have no contact with Markeitha Coakley, which means staying 200 yards away from her and her family, including her children, to not communicate with her in person and not communicate with her through any other form or manner, including third parties and social media. You're also to stay away from the location known as 955 North Central Avenue in Hapeville, Georgia.
Okay.
Do you have any personal belongings there?
No, no, ma'am.
Okay, then no reason to go back. Any questions, Mr. McLean?
None, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Do you and Mr. Coleman have any other cases to address on the SAP calendar?
Yes.
Okay,
Your Honor, I have positions 1 and 3. 1 is a negotiated plea, 3 is non-negotiated, and we have 2 more probation cases.
okay. Any of the individuals in the courtroom?
Not in courtroom 2, we're done here.
Okay, so I guess we are waiting on the officer to appear on one of the floors at the facility. And
Also,
Mr. McLean, what positions do you have?
33 is a bond request with a not guilty.
33, okay. And has your client waived his appearance?
Well, Your Honor, I believe he's on 4 South, so he'll be in one of these squares or rectangles on Zoom, I imagine.
Okay. All right, Francois, would you be able to call in and find out the status of these cases?
Or, I'm sorry,
For Mr. Coleman, we have positions 1 and 3, which is Edward Bailey and Edical Deglee.
okay, Mr. Bailey is on 3 South, so we have our rover officer, Officer Will, will be doing that on the floor. Gentlemen, we are in court. And who else?
33.
What's the name?
Christopher Wright.
Okay, and that's also on the floor on 4 South, so Mr. Officer will be there shortly.
Okay, and then we have a couple of probation cases, Blake Durden and LaVille Garrett. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, 4 North, Mr. Garrett, he's on the floor as well.
Okay, so we'll just wait for the officer to ring in?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you,
I
Judge.
see 5 North is connecting.
Yes.
Welcome back, Judge.
There you
Thank
go.
you, sir. All right, 5 North, and who do we have, sir?
I'm sorry it took so long.
No,
Yeah.
you didn't take long. We just impatient folks, that's what it is.
Oh, that's that light skin stuff. It's all right.
All right. All right, so
Mr. Wright, Christopher, I believe you probation, but I don't have a, probation.
What's the name?
Right, Christopher?
no, Christopher Wright's on our SAP calendar, so we're going to have a bond hearing. So let's begin with that. This is State versus Christopher Wright, 23 CR 543J. Mr. Wright is accused of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer and driving while license suspended and revoked from January 7th, 2023. Mr. Wright, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean, who is located at courtroom 2. Do you see him on the panel? Okay. All right. Mr. McLean, is your client entering a not guilty plea, and would you like me to arraign, or will you be filing a waiver of arraignment?
We can file a waiver of arraignment, Your Honor, that'd be fine. He's not guilty of this January 7th matter.
Okay. And with regard to the bond, this must be a bench warrant?
I believe that, let's see. There were 16 lines of bond surrender. And Your Honor, our main point is simply this. On this January 7th matter, he's not guilty. He's also maintaining his innocence on the other charge. Your Honor, this is $4,000 out of a much larger number of bond that he has to make. He's working on that with a private attorney on the main charge. We don't want to have the tail wagging the dog, so to speak. So it'd be, I think it would be sufficient for court purposes. If he's going to appear on his charges, plural, then he's going to appear. So a signature bond would be requested on the $4,000 misdemeanor matter.
Okay. Ms. Tyson?
I'm not really,
Oh, I'm sorry.
not really arguing about I'm not really arguing about the rest record.
Understood.
Right.
Let me see. Ms. Tyson, does he have any prior convictions for driving while license suspended or revoked?
Let's see, one moment.
I see a prior arrest on July 20th, 2021 in Fulton County. So I don't know if you've got any other prior. Oh, and then in January 24th, 2023, expired license.
2017 out of Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, that may be.
That-
Oh, and then there's another one. Yeah, 2022, January 2022. I don't know if that's the one you just said, but yeah.
I got
Yeah,
it.
that's
All
it.
right.
Mhm.
Ms. Jackson, yeah, he does have other matters holding him at the jail. What is your comment about reducing the bond in this particular case?
Your Honor, we would ask that the bond remain the same, as he does have a case that is holding him in Superior Court. In addition to that, he has 2 other cases that are open that he may not be being held on, but they are still open. So he has a total of 3 open cases in Fulton County. So we would ask that the bond remain the same.
On the driving while license suspended revoked, that's going to be $1,000. On fleeing and attempting to elude, that's going to be $500. Total bond is $1,500 surety. Condition to the bond is no driving at all.
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, position number 4 and 5, probation. Mr.
Thank you,
Harris.
sir. This is State versus Laville Garrett. And the probation matter is referred to as 23 PV 1254. Mr. Garrett's original case is 23 CR 2573B, in which he was convicted of criminal trespass. Mr. Garrett, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and your counsel is Mr. Darrell Coleman, who is at courtroom 2. Do you see him there? Courtroom 2. Mr. Coleman, if you could just wave your hand right in front of your screen, that would help. Do you see him?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, Miss Allison, Officer Allison, you've already been sworn. No, sir, you can put your arm down. Yes, Miss Allison, what is the state's recommendation?
Yes, Ms. Garrett failed to report as directed for 4 occasions. She failed to report to mental health court on May 5th, 2023. Probation is recommended to continue on probation to comply with mental health court. Mental health court is going to be addressed and discussed with Judge Porter and the individuals that work alongside her. She has 8 months and 23 days left on probation.
This is Labille Garrett, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the first report date for Mr. Garrett?
Oh, gotcha. You need my phone number now?
Oh, just
is
1
it-
second. Courtroom 2, please mute. Thank you. Go ahead, Miss Allison.
Are you referring to the ones that she missed or going to be, what's the report date to come to court?
You referring to the defendant as a female? I see a male, so I just want to be sure we are on the same case.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Mr. Garrett, right?
Yeah, Mr. Lavelle Garrett.
Garrett, yes.
So he has 8 months left on his probation?
Yes, he has 8 months and 23 days left.
Okay, and he is going to continue to report to MH court?
Yes, mental health court.
All right, and does he need to report to probation as well?
No, that's gonna be addressed and discussed with Judge Porter.
Okay, and do we have a report date for his first court appearance?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, courtroom 2, please unmute. Mr. Coleman?
Yes, no objection, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Garrett, we're going to record this as a probation violation. You have to report to Judge Porter's court. Do you understand? And we'll need a good mailing address for you. So you'll need to make sure we have that on file. Mr. Coleman, do you have his current mailing address?
We do not have any contact information for the probation people.
Well, that's a problem then.
My address, can I give you my address right now?
You can give it to, well, sure.
Yeah, he would actually really need to give it to the probation officer.
You don't want to say it on Zoom?
If they could put it in the chat to the probation officer.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll put the email in the chat.
All right. Officer at 5 North, you're going to get an email address from Officer Allison. Or if you can get Mr. Garrett's address, phone number, and email, and then you can respond to the chat to Officer Allison.
I'm not being released.
Is that 5 North, Your Honor?
5 North, yes. Do you see on the chat, sir?
I'm about to do it now.
Okay. If you want to mute your screen and get his address, that would be great. We just don't want to broadcast it on live stream.
So, my roommate. So.
Officer Allison, have you received the address?
I have not.
Okay. Okay, while we're waiting for probation to get the information on Mr. Garrett, Mr. Coleman, you have another client, right?
There's one more probation case, Mr. Durden, and then I have two more cases, 1 and 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, Allison, just confirm once you receive the information, then we can move on with Mr. Garrett.
Okay.
Judge, we have a quick pause. There was one case we neglected to address while we're in a breakout. Can we do a quick breakout to address that?
Okay,
This will be
is
Mr.
Mr. Rhodes available?
Yes.
All right, Miss Allison and Mr. Coleman, I'll be right back with you. Mr. Jordan, if you could place us back in the breakout with ASG Rhodes and Mr. Howard and Miss Burgess or Miss Kasha, if they're still available. All right, Mr. Officer Allison, did you get all the information for Mr. Garrett?
I did.
All right, so Mr. Garrett, based on the officer's recommendation, as indicated, you will continue with probation. You will be released within 24 hours. And you are to report to MH Court before Judge Porter. The next court date will be sent to the current address and phone number that you've provided. If you fail to appear at the next MH Court before Judge Patsy Porter, we will issue another probation revocation and you will be back in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You have a date with Judge Porter, don't forget.
What do you, can you tell me when it is?
I can't tell you the date because she sets the schedule for her MH court.
So she's gonna call me to notify me, to let me know?
They will send the notice to the address you have provided.
That's
It's
fine.
your responsibility to make sure when the next court date is and that your address is correct. If you don't receive something within the next 14 days, I would recommend that you come down to the courthouse, to the clerk's office to find out.
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
Yes, ma'am.
You can't sit back in a chair and watch TV and wait for it to come to you. If you're going to do that, you're going to be back in jail. Simple as that.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
All right. You have 8 months left on your probation. You better complete it. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
Officer, next case.
Position number 2 and 3, probation, Mr. Durden.
All right.
Your Honor, while I haven't spoken with Mr. Durden yet, I believe it's Durden with a D. We understand the recommendation. I believe he will be accommodating that recommendation.
All right. Let's see. This is State v. Blake Durden. His probation matter is 23 PV 1253. And the underlying case is 21 CR 496D, in which he was accused of battery. Mr. Blake Durden, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney and your counsel is Mr. Michael McLean. This is a probation revocation matter. So let's hear what the officer has to recommend for your particular case. Officer Allison?
Yes, Mr. Durden, he has probation fees in total of $160. Victim crime funds in total of $36. He failed to report as directed on 3 occasions, failed to submit an income management evaluation, did not complete 60 hours of community service, and did not appear for a revocational hearing on August 22nd, 2023. He has 8 months and 10 days left on probation. Probation is recommended to continue on probation, report to the office within 48 hours upon release, complete the evaluation within 30 days, and start community service hours within 14 days.
Mr.
All right.
Durden,
Mr.
if you have any
McLean?
questions? Right, Mr. Durden, if you have any questions, I could have you communicate with me in private, but if you understand the recommendation is to continue you and allow you to continue doing what you previously said you'd do, if that's amenable to you, then you don't have a problem.
Yes, sir. I live 2 hours away from Atlanta. I live in Gray, Georgia. I work 50 hours a week. I do community service with my boss. I couldn't report because I lost the email I did the report with. He was having me do it on an email.
Looks like you need a conversation
I think
with
so.
your attorney.
Who's my probation officer? That's what I've been trying to find out.
Don't say anything else.
We'll be available. Let's see. He's on 5 North. Your Honor, what I can actually do, I did something similar 2 days ago with court. I can run up to 5 North and talk to him in the visitation booth.
He's on 4 North. He's on 4 North.
Now,
I brought him up here for court, but he's on 4 North.
But I'll be up there in about 5 minutes or less if you hold him there.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, I'm going up to 5 North.
All right, Mr. Coleman has a couple of other cases, officer.
I got Mr. Daigle, position number 3.
Okay, we can take him, please.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir.
It's gonna be a
All right, this is State versus Edikel Dagley, 18 CR 4579B.
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Coleman.
I'm ready. I took
Okay.
all buttons.
All right. Mr. Dagley is accused of battery, family violence, and obstruction of a law enforcement officer and giving false name to a law enforcement officer from an April 12, 2018 incident. Mr. Dagley, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you today is Mr. Darrell Coleman. I understand this is going to be a non-negotiated plea. Is that still the case, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Dagley, a non-negotiated plea means that the prosecution is going to give me a recommended sentence if you decide to plead guilty, and your attorney is going to give me an alternative recommendation. Based on your criminal record history and the circumstances of the case, I will consider both recommendations and then make a choice. I will let you know of my choice before we proceed with the plea. Mr. Pierre Thomas, what's your recommendation?
Your Honor, the recommendation from the state was on count 1, 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for the 9 days that he's already served, with the balance probated, a family violence intervention program, 40 hours of community service, no further contact with Adonai Dagley, Adonay is the spelling of that name, Your Honor, and that is to be for count 1. Count 2 is to be concurrent with count 1, and count 3 is to be concurrent with count 1 as well.
All right. Did you want to set forth the factual basis to support that recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The factual basis is that the defendant punched the victim several times, causing large lacerations to the face and the body of the victim. The defendant also gave the false name of Metkel, Metkel, as his first name. I believe the last name was correct. When asked, and he fought with the police officers while being fingerprinted. The state's office, or the solicitor's office, is in possession of photos of the injuries, and they are quite extensive. And so for those reasons, that was the basis for the recommendation, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, we feel that the 9 days my client is served in custody on this case is sufficient. Additionally, the state would like him to do the DVIP program. I've had these discussions before Judge Besson several times. Actually, she's the one that brought it to my attention. These DVIP classes are really more for romantic couples who have children, not so much for roommates or just family members. So we feel that a term of anger management would be more appropriate in this case. My client is 47 years of age. He's lived here in Atlanta for the last 20 years. He's working at his family's pizzeria restaurant, Edgewood Pizzeria, for the last 2 months. The alleged victim in this case is his brother. He told me that they have since reconciled. This was some 5 years ago. Again, we're asking that the court not sentence him to any additional jail time, that the sentence be for a term of anger management rather than DVIP.
Right. Ms. Tyson, do we have any priors on Mr. Dagley, position 3 on the SAP calendar?
Let's see, we have a misdemeanor driving while license suspended in 2016, 1 FTA from 2016. Let's see. He has a case out of Dunwoody. The arrest date was September 18th of 2023. I'm not sure if this is the same case that's on the calendar, but it's for reckless conduct, willful obstruction, and a simple assault. There's no disposition listed on the GCIC.
Okay.
And the FTA that he was just arrested for on 9/27 of this year.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, we're also asking that this give you no further violent contact.
And this was a 2018. Okay. All right. I'll accept the recommendation of the defense as follows. It will be to serve 18 days, credit for time served 9 days. It will be served on probation. In lieu of FVIP, he'll do 24 classes, anger management classes.
Could it be 12 weeks of anger management?
No, sir, 24.
Yeah.
This will be 40 hours of community service, no violent contact with Adoni Degley, and no alcohol, no illegal drugs, and no weapons and no firearms.
I submitted two non-negotiated plea forms. One is for anger management, the other one is for DVIP. So if you can just check the one for DVIP.
Okay, just make sure it says 24 weeks of anger management classes.
Well, again, I submitted, I think you would maybe need to write in 24 weeks because I emailed it yesterday.
Okay. Miss Grace, do you have the email from Mr. Coleman?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so if you just want to put a sticky over there, I need to modify that to 24 weeks of anger management classes and no violent contact with Adoni Degley. And that light, yes, sir?
I think I put on the form. 1 second. I did put on there no further violent contact.
All right. Okay, Mr. Degley, I've accepted the defense recommendation, except that it would require you to do 24 classes of anger management and 40 hours of community service, and to have no violent contact with your brother, which means there cannot be a physical or verbal altercation while you're on probation. You'll be required to report to probation every month, and you have to pay probation fees every month. If we can unmute 5 North, would you still like to move forward with the plea?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far? You can put your hand up.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Very, very satisfied.
And are you being forced or induced to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to plead guilty to 1 count of battery family violence, any subsequent arrests for battery family violence, if it ever happens again, will automatically be a felony charge. Have you been informed of that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You also would have to waive your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser, to challenge the evidence or witnesses brought against you, to present any defenses if you choose to do so, and to waive your right to have the state prove the original charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to waive these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to battery, family violence, obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and giving false information to an officer?
Guilty, ma'am.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 18 days, credit for time served 9 days. Your jail time for this case is concluded, and if you have no other holds, you will report to probation next week before 3 p.m. on Thursday. You'll be on probation where you have to report every month and pay your probation fees. While on probation, you have to complete 24 weeks of anger management classes. The classes must begin within 60 days of being released. You are to complete 40 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency, which is not a school and not a church. You are to have no violent contact with Adoni Degley, that's Adonay, same last name, which means there cannot be any physical or verbal altercations with Mr. Degley. That concludes your sentence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, position number 17, I don't know if he was released, because it says essentially that he had a signature bond, Mr. Jackson.
If he had a signature bond, most likely he was released. That would be, did you say 17?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that would be Mr. McLean's client. And since he's on his way to you, could you double check with him? Or with Mr. Jordan or Miss Grace?
The
Mr.
conduct tab says that he was released to a Baldwin County, Alabama hold.
Oh, that case, most likely, then yes, he's released. 17.
Well, then that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I think we're waiting on Mr. McLean to come to you for that one other case.
Well, we have one other matter, position one, Mr. Bailey. I don't think.
Yeah. Mr. Bailey, that's right. 5 North, do you have Edward Bailey? 5 North,
Mr. Bailey's on 3 South.
3 South. Are you going to be moving there or somebody
I
going
can
to
move
be
that.
coming?
I can move. Do you want me to wait for Mr. Durden?
Oh, please wait for Mr. McLean, otherwise he'll be running all over the jail looking for you. Okay, Mr. Coleman, we're gonna wait on your client, Mr. Bailey. But while we are waiting for that, can I go over the calendar with you and then you can let Mr. McLean know also?
All right.
Excuse me, Judge, also the add-on calendar.
Yeah, the SAP add-on calendar, I'm going to get to that. Let me start with the probation revocation calendar first. So on position 1, that was time served. Position 2 and 3, that's continuing on probation. Position 4 and 5, that's continuing on probation. Position 6 is time served. Position 7 is, that's the closed, that's probation case. And position 8 and 9, that's time served. Okay, and then the add-on calendar for probation, Hopkins, that was time served. Now, moving on to the SAP add-on calendar. We have 3 cases there. Tinkey Gibbs. Is that your client, Mr. Coleman?
No, I don't have a copy of the add-on calendar, so I don't know anything about that case. And that person, I don't know where they're in custody, but they were never brought into the courtroom. I don't think they were ever on one of the floors. I don't know anything about the case.
All right. We may have to consult with Mr.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it, but it didn't have an offer, and that was the only one that I saw on there. Yeah.
Mr. Rhodes, do you have, and was this one of the cases your office had a plea offer?
I am looking at the add-on calendar now. If you can just give me about 30 seconds.
Okay. Angelo Doty's filed an entry of appearance, so.
Your Honor, Mr. Dotis, that's an attorney in our office.
Yeah, I know.
Uh-huh.
Now in the position, in the case, the older case, he's already got a order for release. He's got a 3,000 signature bond through the jail. But one of them, he's got a good bond. Yeah. Okay.
Is it 3 positions on the add-on calendar?
Yeah, it's the same person.
Yeah,
He's
to
got
me,
2 cases and then one's in the bench warrant,
I got you.
which
I
is
do-
why he's not releasable at the present time.
Is there something that I can pre-try with the defense on? I do believe positions 1, that they're duplicates. I don't believe that these are 2 separate cases.
Oh,
I believe that these cases were inadvertently
all right.
accused.
But I don't know where the defendant is. So that's the other problem. The case ending in 4213J is for simple battery family violence from December 9th, 2022. And the second case, the accusation ends in 5831J, and that's for simple battery from December 7th, 2022. And he had a $3,000 signature bond through the jail on that.
Taking another look at these, I do believe it's a duplicate.
Okay.
The dates are close.
And then he's got a failure to appear. But I don't have a bench warrant on file. Okay, so I'm not sure, but that's the case that you're referring to, Ms. Grace?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we may have to reset it unless Mr.
And
Coleman.
we do have an offer for him, but I do realize the defendant's not here, but we have
Well,
an
the defendant's not here, and we don't know who you're going to be communicating the offer since neither PD has had a chance to confer with him. Okay, but put a pin on that add-on calendar. I'm just going to go down the main SAP calendar right now. Edward Bailey, position 1, we are holding to address that case. He's apparently at 3 South. Position 2, Frank Banks is reset to October 12. Position 3, Dagley was a plea. Position 4 was a null pros, 5 was a plea. Position 6, Lamel Edwards, that was a plea, I believe.
No, that was actually a signature bond. They've already done a waiver.
Oh, okay. Position 6, oh, that was a bond hearing. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Amended bond, Judge.
Yeah, it's amended bond and it was a waiver of arraignment. Okay, thank you. Position 7, Raven Francis was a plea. Position 8, Griggs was a plea. Position 9, Harris was a plea. And position Harris's null FTA case, position 10 was null pros. Position 11, Michael Herbert was a plea. Position 12, Brandon Hill was released. Position 13, Jeremy Rhodes is a waiver of arraignment and further notice for trial. Position 14, Hogan was a plea. 15 is a waiver of arraignment and further notice for trial. That's for 15 and 16. 17, Sean Jackson, we can confirm he was released. Mr. Coleman?
Again, I'm just going by what's on the calendar. It says that he was released to a Baldwin County.
Alabama. Yeah, I remember issuing that bond, so, okay. Position 18, Marquis King, is, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Those were all further notice for jail jury, and those 4 cases were arraigned. And further notice for jail jury. Position 22, McMillan was a plea. Position 23 is a waiver of arraignment. Miss Grace, that was a waiver of arraignment, and that case is further notice for jail jury.
Yes, ma'am.
Position 24, Meriwether is released. 25 was a plea. That was Travis Suttles. 26, Ricky Tate, and that he was released. 27 and 28 were pleas. 27 was a plea, 28 was null pros. 29, Tompkins was a waiver arraignment and further notice for jail jury. Position 30 is a waiver of arraignment and further notice for jail jury. Position 31 is a reset to October 12, excuse me, that was a waiver of arraignment and further notice for jail jury. Position 32 was reset to October 12, and position 33 is a waiver of arraignment and a further notice for jail jury with a modification to bond. All right. So 5 North, excuse me, 5 North. Could you please start your Zoom?
Your Honor, before you move on, I believe position number 29, you did a modification to the bond on that one as well.
You're probably right. I just didn't write it down.
I think.
That would be Mr. McLean's client, yeah?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that the reduction from 10,000? No.
You did a split bond, split 8,000.
Yes,
What do you know about it?
got it. Okay, yeah, it was 1,500 and then a signature bond through the jail on the simple battery, correct?
3,000 SOB on count number 1 to the jail. And 5,000 on count number 2.
Yeah, they told me my bond.
Was that correct, Ms. Grace? I didn't
Yes,
write-
I have count number 1 is a $5,000 good bond, and count 2 is a 3,000 SOB jail with a total of 8,000 split.
Okay, I just had the word split B on it, so I'm so sorry. I didn't write down the numbers. We'll go with those numbers. Okay. All right, 5 South, or 5 North, excuse me. Could you, officer, could you please start? I don't know whether they're even there.
Wait, hold up, you said.
Officer Allison, you're free to go. I think you just have to submit the probation documents. to Ms. Grace.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Anyone else who's not got involved with the add-on case or with Edward Bailey? Or with the, what was the last matter we were addressing, Mr. Burke?
I believe it was it Gibbs, Taniki Gibbs?
No, that's the one we still have to find the defendant.
Hold the plate down here.
Yeah.
Trying to get me.
Okay, courtroom, is there Officer Francois in courtroom 2?
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah, I think so. We just haven't
I think she's there.
decided yet. I don't-
Francois, could you do me a big favor and contact the officer at 4 North? Even though Zoom says 5 North, he's actually at 4.
Yeah, both of our phones are tied up, interviewing by the public defenders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is there, what's going on, Judge?
Well, we're
We're
waiting.
trying to get 4 North to come back on Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Plain-
Student at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, there's no, and I'm in here by myself, the only.
No, understood. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Jordan, is there a way you can contact
Peter said.
the participant at 5 North to start their video? And unmute?
I don't have a phone number for that.
No, if you just go on the Zoom, you just have to let the participant know, start video and unmute.
Let me. Oh, wow. You probably walked away from the,
In high school, I got
Computer.
straight A's.
All right.
hey, Will,
So technically, maybe the lowest grade I got. was
I'm so sorry, Judge Law.
That's okay. So courtroom 2, I'm going to ask you to mute because we can hear the defendant talking with the counsel. Okay. I think we have to just put a pause on the recording and live stream until 5 North and Mr.